My brother embarrassed me in front of my boss by throwing a drink right in my face. My boss retaliated and made him lose everything he had ever worked towards. Welcome to the world of family, folks. If you're enjoying stories like this, please subscribe. Say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from, what city or country. With that, let's get back to our story. I should have known something was off when Ryan texted me that afternoon. Mom's throwing a family dinner tonight. Be there. No, please, no explanation. Just a command, like I was still that little girl who jumped whenever anyone in my family snapped their fingers. But God help me, I went. I always went. The restaurant was way upscale, the kind of place where appetizers cost more than my entire weekly grocery budget. I arrived straight from work, still wearing my modest blazer and slacks, and carrying my leather portfolio from the presentation I delivered that morning. My boss, Diana Jones, had called it the most innovative pitch she'd seen in 15 years. Those words still echoed in my mind, a comforting blessing. I spotted my family right away. Mom was sitting at the head of the table, her hair freshly pressed, wearing that pearl necklace Dad had bought her before he passed. My brother Ryan was beside her, his arm draped around some woman I'd never laid eyes on before. His suit probably cost 3 months' worth of my rent payments. My sister Kesha was glued to her phone, ignoring everyone as usual. There she is, Mom announced, not even bothering to stand up. We already ordered. Didn't think you'd show. The familiar sting hit me right in the chest, but I just swallowed it down. I texted that I was coming. Sit down, girl, Ryan said, gesturing toward the empty chair. We got big news to share. I sat, carefully placing my portfolio on the table. That's when I noticed the champagne bottles, the expensive kind, already half empty. Whatever they were celebrating had obviously started without me. So I forced a smile and asked, "What's the occasion?" Ryan grinned, that same cocky grin he'd been wearing since high school. "I'm getting promoted." Promoted? I tried to sound enthusiastic. That's great, Ryan. Congratulations. Not just promoted, he continued, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place. I'm being made partner at Henderson & Associates. Youngest partner in the firm's history. They've been in business for 48 years, and I'm breaking records. The woman beside him squeezed his arm. I'm so proud of you, baby. This is Vanessa, Ryan said, barely even glancing at me. My fiancé. I proposed last week. The hits just kept coming. I looked at Mom, waiting for her to acknowledge me, to ask about my day, my life. Nothing. That's wonderful, I managed, barely stringing the words together. Kisha finally looked up from her phone. Some of us are actually doing something with our lives. Those words were directed right at me, sharp as broken glass. I dealt with this my entire life. Ryan was the golden child, football scholarship, law degree, and now partner at a prestigious firm. Kesha was the baby, spoiled rotten, still living at home at 26. And then there was me. I was the middle child, the one who'd paid her own way through community college while working 2 jobs. The one who'd built herself up from absolutely nothing. I actually have some good news too, I ventured. We're not done, Mom interrupted, refilling Ryan's glass. Tell her the rest, baby. Ryan's grin grew even wider. I'm buying Mom a house. 5 bedrooms, gated community. She deserves it after everything she's done for us. The table erupted in celebration. I just sat there, invisible, my good news dying in my throat. How nice, I whispered to no one in particular. Then Ryan looked at me, really looked at me. How's that secretary job going? I'm not a secretary, I said quietly, my jaw tightening. I'm a senior project manager. Ryan just waved his hand dismissively. Same difference. You still work for someone else taking orders. I'm about to have people working for me. Vanessa laughed, a high-pitched sound that grated on my nerves. Ryan says you went to community college. That's so cute. The condescension in her voice made my stomach churn. I'd heard it before, from Mom, from Ryan, from everyone who looked at my life and found it lacking. But I'd learned to survive it, to smile right through it. Community college was all I could afford, I said evenly. Some of us didn't get our tuition paid for. Some of us earned scholarships, Ryan shot back. Maybe if you'd applied yourself. I applied myself, working 40 hours a week just so I could eat, I interrupted, my voice rising slightly. While you partied on campus, I was stocking shelves at night. Mom's hand slammed down on the table. Don't you dare disrespect your brother on his special night. He worked hard for everything he has. The unfairness of it crashed over me like a tidal wave. I worked hard too. Harder probably. But my achievements were invisible to them. Always had been. I was about to respond when I noticed someone approaching our table. My heart stopped. Diana Jones, my boss, was walking toward us in an elegant black dress. She'd mentioned she had dinner plans nearby, but I never imagined. Simone. Diana's face lit up with genuine warmth. I thought that was you. I wanted to tell you again that presentation today was absolutely brilliant. I stood, my face flushing. Miss Jones, thank you. Call me Diana, please. We're not in the office. Diana extended her hand to my family. I'm Diana Jones, Simone's supervisor. You must be so proud of her. She just secured a $3 million contract for us today. The client specifically requested her for the project. The silence at the table was deafening. Mom's smile was frozen, uncertain. Ryan stared at Diana, then at me, his expression darkening. Kesha actually put down her phone. $3 million? Mom repeated. The client was incredibly impressed. Diana continued, oblivious to the tension. Simone's innovative approach to sustainable infrastructure is revolutionizing how we do business. I've been trying to convince her to let us sponsor her MBA. She's executive material. I wanted to disappear. This wasn't how I'd planned to share my success. I'd been building up to it for months, waiting for the right moment when my family might actually listen. MBA. Ryan's voice was tight. She didn't mention that. I tried to, I said softly, looking at my mother. Earlier. Well, I just wanted to say congratulations again, Diana said, squeezing my shoulder. Enjoy your family dinner. You've earned the celebration. And Simone, the partners want to meet with you Monday morning. I think you know what that means. She walked away, leaving a crater in her wake. Ryan's face had turned to stone. Vanessa was whispering something in his ear. Kesha looked back and forth between us like she was watching a tennis match. Mom just stared at me like I was a stranger. $3 million? Ryan said slowly. The partners want to meet with you? It's not. I started. You're getting promoted. It wasn't a question. His voice was dripping with venom. You're getting promoted before me. No, Ryan, it's different, I said, trying to de-escalate the situation. Your firm is law, mine is urban development. We can't even compare. Don't patronize me. His voice carried across the restaurant. Other diners turned to look. How long have you been hiding this? I wasn't hiding anything. I've been trying to tell you all for months about my projects. Nobody listens when I talk. Mom's expression shifted from confusion to something much harder. So you thought you'd embarrass your brother on his special night? Have your boss come over here and show off the injustice of it all? I felt like the air had been stolen from my lungs. I didn't know she'd be here. And how is my success embarrassing him? Because everything is always about you, isn't it? Kesha snapped. Poor Simone, middle child. Nobody pays attention to her. Maybe if you weren't so boring. I'm boring. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. I'm boring because I work hard? Because I don't ask Mom for rent money at 26? Kesha's face flushed red. At least I'm there for her. When's the last time you came to Sunday dinner? I work Sundays. I've worked every Sunday for 4 years to get where I am. Ryan stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. You know what? This is typical. You can't let anyone else have the spotlight. You've always been jealous of me. I stood, too, trembling with years of suppressed frustration. Jealous? Ryan, I've celebrated every single one of your achievements. Every game, every graduation, every promotion. When have you ever celebrated mine? What achievements? He sneered. Oh right. The $3 million contract we just heard about, the MBA we just heard about, the promotion we just heard about. You don't share anything with this family because this family doesn't care. The words hung in the air, raw and undeniably true. Mom's voice was ice. How dare you? After everything I sacrificed for you children. Everything you sacrificed for Ryan and Kesha. I corrected, my voice shaking. I paid for my own school, my own car, my own apartment. I've been on my own since I was 18. Because you wanted to be. Mom shouted. You were always so independent. Thought you were better than us. Moving across town, barely calling. I call every week. You don't answer. This is unbelievable, Vanessa muttered. Baby, we should go. But Ryan wasn't done. I could see it in his eyes. That competitive fire that had driven him all his life. He'd always been first. The best athlete, the best student, the family pride. And I had just shattered that illusion in front of everyone. You think you're special now? He said, his voice low and dangerous. You think one contract makes you successful? I've been carrying this family's name with pride while you've been invisible. Nobody even knows who you are. Maybe that's because you never told them, I said quietly. I've invited you to my work events, my presentations. You never came. Why would I waste my time on community college achievements? The sting of his words was worse than any physical blow. This was my brother, the boy I'd looked up to, protected and loved despite everything. And he saw me as absolutely nothing. I think we're done here, I said, reaching for my portfolio. That's when Ryan grabbed his glass, half full of champagne, and threw it right in my face. The cold liquid hit me like a physical shock. It soaked my hair, my blazer dripped down onto my portfolio. The restaurant went completely silent. Everyone was staring. That's for ruining my night, Ryan said. I stood there dripping, humiliated, and something inside me finally broke. I didn't cry. That's what shocked me the most. I stood there with champagne dripping off my chin, my carefully pressed blazer ruined, my leather portfolio stained, and I didn't shed a single tear. Maybe I'd finally run out of them. Simone. Mom started, but I held up my hand. No. My voice was steady, eerily calm. No, you don't get to say anything right now. I picked up my napkin, wiped my face slowly, deliberately. The entire restaurant was watching this family implode. I could see phones out, probably recording. Somewhere in my peripheral vision, I noticed Diana Jones standing with her dinner companions, her face a mask of shock and fury. You know what the saddest part is? I said, looking at each of them. I came here tonight excited. I was going to tell you about my contract, about the promotion. I was going to offer to help with the down payment on Mom's house because I actually just got a significant raise, but you didn't even ask about my day. Ryan slammed his hand on the table. Oh, here we go with the victim routine. I'm not a victim anymore, I interrupted. I'm done with all of this. Kesha scoffed. You're being so dramatic. It was just champagne. It wasn't about the champagne, I said, meeting my brother's eyes. It was about respect, and I finally understand that I'll never get it from any of you. I picked up my ruined portfolio. Inside was the contract I'd spent 6 months negotiating. The one that would have changed not just my life but potentially could have helped my family too. Not anymore. Simone, sit down, Mom commanded. Let's talk about this like adults. Like adults. I laughed, a hollow sound. When have you ever treated me like an adult, Mom? I'm 32 years old. And you still introduce me as the one who went to community college. Excuse me. Diana Jones's voice cut through the tension like a blade. She'd crossed the restaurant and now stood beside our table, her expression professional but her eyes blazing. Simone, do you need assistance? The question was loaded. I could see it in her stance. She was offering me an exit, protection, support, things my family should have offered. I'm fine, Miss Jones, I said, though we both knew it was a complete lie. No, you're not. Diana turned to Ryan, and her voice dropped 20 degrees. I don't know who you are, but I just watched you physically assault one of my best employees in public. Over what? Professional jealousy? Ryan stood straighter, puffing out his chest. This is a family matter. It doesn't concern you. It concerns me when one of my people, someone I'm about to promote to director level, is attacked at what should be a celebration. What's your name? Ryan Johnson, attorney at Henderson and Associates. He said it like it was a weapon, like his credentials would intimidate her. Diana's eyebrow raised. Henderson and Associates? Really? She pulled out her phone. Interesting. I have Richard Henderson's personal number. We've worked together on several projects. I watched the color drain from Ryan's face. Henderson and Associates wasn't just any firm. It was the firm that handled contracts for Diana's company. One word from her could destroy everything Ryan had built. Wait, Ryan started. No, let me make sure I have this right, Diana continued, her voice sharp. Ryan Johnson, you said you're about to make partner? Vanessa touched Ryan's arm nervously. Baby, maybe we should. I am making partner, Ryan insisted, but his voice wavered. The announcement is next week. Not anymore, Diana said simply. She began typing on her phone. What are you doing? Mom stood up, her voice rising with panic. Diana didn't look up from her phone. I'm texting Richard Henderson. He's a personal friend and a professional contact. We're having lunch Tuesday to discuss a $50 million contract. I think he'll be very interested to know that one of his future partners has anger management issues and a tendency toward violence in public settings. It was just a drink, Kisha protested. You people are acting like he hit her. He assaulted her, Diana corrected, finally looking up. In front of dozens of witnesses, including me, a major client of his firm. Do you understand how business works? Reputation is everything. Ryan's face had gone completely gray. Please don't do this. That promotion, I've worked 7 years for it. And Simone worked her entire life to get where she is, Diana shot back. While putting herself through school, while being dismissed by her own family, while being invisible to the people who should have supported her the most. But the moment she succeeds, you literally throw it in her face. I stood there numb, watching this all play out. Part of me wanted to stop Diana, to protect my brother despite everything. That instinct to shield him, to minimize myself, was so deeply ingrained. But another part of me, the part that had been drowning for 32 years, wanted to let it all happen. Simone, tell her to stop, Mom pleaded. He's your brother. You can't let her destroy his career over one mistake. One mistake? As if it was an isolated incident, not the culmination of a lifetime of dismissal and contempt. I can't stop her, Mom, I said quietly. And I won't. You vindictive bitch. Ryan started. Finish that sentence, Diana warned. And I'll make sure you never practice law in this city again. The manager finally approached, clearly uncomfortable. Is everything all right here? We've had complaints from other guests. We're leaving, I said, my voice stronger now. I apologize for the disturbance. You're apologizing? Kesha's voice was shrill. They're the ones who. Because that's what I do, I interrupted, looking at my sister. I apologize. I make myself smaller. I pretend everything is fine. I've been doing it for 32 years and I'm tired of it. Mom's eyes were wet now, but I couldn't tell if it was genuine emotion or just manipulation. With her it was always hard to tell. You're going to let this woman ruin your brother's life because your feelings are hurt? My feelings are hurt? I repeated slowly. Mom, when Dad died, who planned the funeral? Me. I was 19 years old and I handled everything because you couldn't get out of bed and Ryan was too devastated. When you needed money for Kesha's car, who sent it? Me. When Ryan needed a character reference for law school, who wrote it? Me. That's what family does, Mom said weakly. Yes, it is. Family supports each other. But what has this family ever done for me? Please give me one example. The silence was answer enough. Diana touched my shoulder gently. So my car is outside. Let me take you home. She's not going anywhere, Ryan shouted, desperate now. Simone, please, I'm sorry. I was drunk. I was jealous. I screwed up. But don't let her destroy me. Please, I'm begging you. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. He was scared. Not sorry, not truly remorseful, just scared of the consequences. You should have thought about that before you threw the drink, I said. As you might imagine, the video went viral over that weekend. Someone at the restaurant had recorded the whole thing. Ryan throwing the drink, Diana's intervention, everything. By Monday morning it had racked up 3 million views across various platforms. The comments were absolutely brutal. Imagine being so insecure that you attack your own sister for succeeding. The way she just stood there and took it. You know this isn't the first time. That boss is a queen for protecting her employee. I didn't watch the video. I couldn't. But the whole world was watching and the consequences were swift. Henderson and Associates released a statement Monday afternoon. After reviewing recent events, We have decided to rescind our partnership offer to Ryan Johnson, effective immediately. We maintain a strict code of professional conduct, and Mr. Johnson's behavior falls below our standards. Ryan called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. Mom called too. You have to fix this. He's your brother. His career is over. I didn't throw that drink, Mom. I didn't record it. I didn't post it online. I'm not responsible for his choices. You could have stopped that woman. Her name is Diana, and she didn't do anything except tell the truth. My promotion was officially announced on Tuesday. Director of Sustainable Development, with a salary that made my hands shake when I actually saw the offer letter. Diana took me to lunch to celebrate, just the two of us at a quiet place where nobody would throw drinks. How are you holding up? She asked. Honestly, I don't know. I keep waiting to feel guilty. Do you? I considered the question. No. Is that wrong? Not even a little bit, Diana said. Simone, I've watched you for 3 years. You're brilliant, hardworking, and kind to a fault, but you let people walk all over you. But there. I started. Family isn't your family, she interrupted gently. Family doesn't treat you like that. 2 weeks later, Mom showed up at my apartment. I hadn't been back to their home since that night. I'd ignored all the calls, the texts, and the voicemails. I'd been building a wall, brick by brick, to protect myself. But she had my address, of course she did. We need to talk, she said when I opened the door. I almost didn't let her in, but 32 years of conditioning is hard to break. I stepped aside. She looked around my apartment, 1 bedroom, modest but mine. Paid for with my own money, decorated with my taste. A space they'd never visited before because they'd never asked to. Nice place, she said, but it definitely didn't sound like a compliment. What do you want, Mom? She sat on my couch uninvited. Ryan lost everything. The partnership, his reputation, his relationship. Vanessa left him. He's living with me again because he can't afford his apartment. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I actually meant it. I wasn't being cruel. I just wasn't responsible. Are you? Her eyes were hard. Because you don't seem sorry. You seem satisfied. I'm not satisfied. I'm just tired. Tired? You're tired? Mom's voice rose. Your brother is destroyed and you're just tired? He needs help, Simone. Financial help just until he gets back on his feet. Your fancy new salary. No. The word hung heavy between us. No? She repeated like she'd never heard me say it before. Maybe she hadn't. No, Mom. I'm not giving Ryan any money. I'm not fixing this. He made his choices. He's your brother, and I was his sister. Where was his loyalty when he threw that drink? Where was yours when you watched him do it and said nothing? Mom stood, shaking. I raised you better than this. Family helps family. You raised me to be convenient, I said, my voice breaking. Quiet, invisible unless you needed something. I learned about Ryan's move 3 months later, not from family we hadn't spoken, but from a mutual acquaintance. He'd moved to another city, taken a position at a smaller firm, starting over. I felt absolutely nothing when I heard the news. Not satisfaction, not sadness, just nothing. Kesha sent one text. Hope you're happy. You destroyed this family. I didn't respond, but I thought about it a lot. How I destroyed absolutely nothing. I just finally stopped holding the broken pieces together. Diana became so much more than just a boss. She became a friend, a mentor, the person who finally saw me when my own family couldn't. Under her guidance, I truly flourished. My projects transformed city skylines. My innovations changed how cities approach sustainable growth. I traveled. I grew. I became someone I could actually be proud of. But that success felt hollow sometimes, especially on holidays. I'd sit in my apartment, bigger now, beautiful, filled with achievements, and I'd remember family dinners before everything had fallen completely apart, before the drink, before all the ugly truths had come spilling out. I tried therapy, spent hours and hours talking about family dynamics, about codependency, about being the child who gives everything, desperately hoping to finally be seen. My therapist kept reassuring me that I'd made the healthy choice, that setting boundaries wasn't cruelty, that I wasn't responsible for Ryan's terrible consequences. I believed her most days. On my 35th birthday, a letter arrived. There was no return address, but I recognized Mom's handwriting right away. Inside was just a single photograph, a picture of all of us at my high school graduation. Dad was still alive back then, his arm lovingly around Mom. Ryan stood tall and proud in his football jersey. Kesha was just a kid. And there was me in my cap and gown, smiling at the camera like the world was just bursting with possibilities. On the back, Mom had written simply, "We were a family once." I stared at that photo for hours, crying for the very first time since that awful night at the restaurant. Not because I regretted any of my choices, but because I mourned what we had never actually been, the family I truly needed, wanted, and deserved. They only existed now in my imagination. I never wrote her back. Some endings just don't need any closure. They just need acceptance. Years later, I'd often catch my reflection in conference room windows and wonder if that young girl in the graduation photo would even recognize me now. Stronger, more successful, fiercely independent, but also alone in ways that success simply couldn't fix. My brother threw a drink in my face, and my boss retaliated, making him lose absolutely everything. But what I lost was something completely different. The illusion, the fantasy of unconditional love, the hope of measuring up. The yearning for family to signify something deeper than just shared DNA, and a sense of duty. I achieved professional success, earned respect, and found personal freedom. What I relinquished was a family that never truly embraced me. There are moments when I remain torn, unable to determine which loss bears the greater weight. If this narrative has struck a chord with you, please show your support by liking and subscribing. Feel free to share your personal experiences with family dynamics in the comments section. Know that you are not isolated in this. And always bear in mind that establishing boundaries isn't an act of betrayal. It's an act of self-preservation. The underlying message here is this. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself is to distance yourself from those who consistently fail to recognize your inherent value, even if those individuals are members of your own family. Achieving success becomes meaningless if you compromise your self-respect in an attempt to gain the approval of others. You are not responsible for managing or mitigating the emotions or the consequences of other people's actions. Your inner peace and well-being are far more important than their fleeting comfort.